today I'm going to show you how to improve your plastic rendering in Cinema4d and Redshift. So I'm in Cinema4d, and this tip deserves a huge shout out to a Mr. Billy Chitkin, or Gurnge, on Instagram. He is the person with all the knowledge on Redshift and Cinema4d, and he shared this with me and gave me his blessing to share the plastic tips and tricks with you as well, the viewer. So with my scene, I'm going to make a new Redshift material, and I'm going to drag this onto my D20 dice. Could be any object of your choosing. Let's double click on that material. Once we have our material open, let's just move it over so we can see our render viewer. I'm going to change a couple things. First, the color. I just like working with a blue dice. I just think those are my favorite color dice. Next, we'll go into the roughness, and we'll set this to 0.4. Generally, this effect works best when you are working with a roughness of 0.2 to 0.6. Once the roughness is set, change your IOR to 1.48. Make sure your phenol type is set to IOR, and now we're going to add some nodes. Go to your Find Node search bar and add 3 nodes. A max on noise, a scalar ramp, and a bump map. Let's take these 3 nodes and organize them on our shader graph. Connect them all together. Bring the max on noise into the scalar ramp input. Bring the scalar ramp into the RS texture input. And then bring the bump map into the RS material and overall bump input. Now, it's not really going to change much right now because what we have to do is make sure our noise is a lot smaller. To see this, what we're going to do temporarily is bring the scalar ramp into our output surface, and we'll see it changes the object gray. That's because the noise is actually really big for our object. So we're going to go into our max on noise and change the overall scale. Set this to 0.01, and then the scale to 0.2. Now, depending on the size of the object in your scene, these values might be different, so make sure you art direct that for your needs. This looks pretty good to me, so I'm going to go into my scalar ramp and clamp these values. So I'm going to click on my scalar ramp, and I'm going to bring the bottom point up just a little bit, and then I'm going to bring the top point down just a little bit. Once that's done, I'm going to then go into my RS bump map and change the height scale to 0.01. After that, I can bring my RS material into the surface, and we can see on our object we're getting a very subtle, noisy, bumpy texture. Now I realize this is just a little small, so what I'm going to do is go into my scale, set this to 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, and we can see the effect coming out just a little bit more. Why don't we zoom in just a little bit on our dice? We can see that effect so much more. Pretty hard to get a kind of shot like this in real life, so I doubt you'd ever get this close, but it does look pretty cool. And to bring this out just a little bit more, we'll do one more thing. We'll minimize our shader graph, go into our camera, our Redshift camera tag, and we'll go to the Bokeh tab. Now what I want to do is click on Override and Enable. Once that is enabled, we'll see that our render viewer is very blurry, but we can change where our focus is by clicking on our click to focus icon right here, the little crosshair on your render viewer, and then click to focus. Now we can see we're getting that depth of field, but we're also getting the focus on this little corner of my object, and we're getting a more realistic plastic look. You can obviously go into the texture settings, into those nodes that you just made, and really modify and art direct your plastic, but I realize this is probably longer than you need to hear about some plastic, so I will leave the tutorial here. Mr. Billy Chitkin, thank you again for giving me your blessing on making this tutorial. Highly recommend giving him a follow. He is a wizard at all things Cinema4d, Redshift, 3D motion graphics, etc. And he helped me with this tip and is helping me, so give him a follow. Now, I hope this tip was useful to you. If it was, let me know in the comment section down below. If you have questions, comments, concerns, that's what the comment section is down there for as well. You can leave some notes, some feedback, some ideas for new videos that I could make, and I will leave you with one final tip, and that is to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and you'll make some. Goodbye, my friends. Bye.